Hello everyone, welcome back. Um, Tonight we're going to continue on working on our frequently asked question web part. When we left off the last time, I think we were working on getting the setup fixed. So that's what we're going to be working on today. Um, One of the things that I wanted to bring up was that I did go over um, some of um, the development process in my head today, and I've been doing a lot of thinking. The web part it's good, but there's things that we could do better. I was thinking about what the scenario was. If you recall, what we were working on was being able to pass the topics array into this string field that would allow the user to then select topics that are going to be covered by the web part. And obviously, that is probably not going to be, um, in my opinion, I don't think it's going to be as user friendly. And so I've been thinking about things, and I think that we're going to do things a bit differently. I think we could use more of a guided user interface for the users to follow. So I think that that's what we can do. I think we can go over and create a way um, that we could build this to work a lot better than what we currently have. So let's go ahead and work on it. I think what we can do is we can create a tab progress, and I guess we can even get an early preview as to how we can work on the tabs once we build that web part out the way we want it. So let's go ahead and get started with that. So let's go back to the code. I think one of the things that I did the last time that I probably shouldn't have done was I got rid of my cards. So I had gotten a component built out that allowed me to use cards. But now I'm thinking maybe we shouldn't use cards. We should just stick to something like pivot. So one of the things that I talked about was in Fluent UI. If we go to the controls, there's an option here. I think it's under navigation or pivot. Yep, pivot. So we can show the code here. And so the pivot is going to be something that we will have running across the top of our web part, I think. And what we're going to have is we're going to have the user to be able to select the layout that they want to utilize, what topics they want to use, what the questions are going to be, question and answers are going to be under there. And maybe we can potentially add a preview to it. So as the user progressively creates this, we can have them do things that way. So let's go back to our default layout. So let me open our default layout here. So here's our default layout. So inside of our default layout right now, we have our topic selector and an action button. So we go back here, you'll see we have our topic selector and the action button, which is add a topic. Actually, no, the topic selector and then add FAQ. So they're side by side here. In the topic selector is where we have our options. So let's create something a little bit different here. We can leave that there for now. And so what we'll do is let's go ahead and start by adding our pivot on here. So if we go to our code, to our documentation, we basically add this into our area here. So let's comment out topic selector and our add FAQ function. Obviously that's going to give us some issues because we now have that not showing up. And we can also hide this, and our form for that is going to be hidden for now. What else? Oh my gosh, this is triggering so many issues. Let me see. And we can cancel out our topic form. All right, so we don't have the topic dialog anymore, so that's why we're getting that. And we're not using our topics either. Anyway, so now that we have our default layout cleaned for now, let's go ahead and add a React fragment here. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna add this pivot section here. So we're gonna import pivot and pivot items. So where did pivot get added? Up here? Okay, I know I imported pivot. Here we go. Here's pivot. Don't want it there. And this should really be button, stack, import. Oh, I was already putting it in. Yep, there we go. So we have pivot and pivot item. We don't need, well, label. I guess we want it to look exactly like this. So does this use label too? What is this using? Yeah, it's using a label. So we can bring in label as well. Import at Fluent UI React, and we need label. All right, so that should get rid of those errors. And label styles, what is the label style set to? Let's take a look. Oh, we're in the wrong one. Show code on this one. It's just adding some margin to the top. We can probably add, do we have a default layout module? We don't. Let's go ahead and add a default layout here. New file. We can actually minimize this. New file, we can do a default layout module.scss. And inside here, we're basically just going to say label. Yeah, so label, and then inside of our label, we're just going to do margin top, same the way it has here, 10. Save that, and remember we have to build this on us. Let me see if it doesn't give us any problems. npm run build. Sorry, not that build. That way it goes ahead and creates our TS file for that. Because remember, when we run our Webpart, it's not gonna do that every single time. So this is the only time that we have to run build separately, is whenever we're adding styles. So at the top here, we're going to import styles from the default layout module.scss. And right here, where these styles equal, let's change this to class name. And we're gonna put styles.label. All right, and we should see in our FAQ Webpart, when it reloads, should reload on its own. No errors found. Let's see. There we go. You can see here we have my files recent and shared with me. Now on click, we should have a state. So we're gonna create a state for current tab, that current tab, and it's gonna be a string, not number, and it's definitely not gonna be undefined. And then this, oops, I'm sorry, let's change this. So the string is going to be layout, because this is where they're going to be able to select the layout. All right, and then this one we're going to change to layout. And now in this one, we're going to select topics. And this one, we're going to select Actually, we didn't even have to bring in that, now that I think about it. Questions and answers. And we don't even have to do this because we're gonna have a component render here. Wait a minute. So I'm not a big fan of doing things where we're embedding the components right away. And well, I guess it's gonna be okay. We want to be able to have the users come in and select the different layouts that they want to pick, and then select the different topics that they want to pick, and then select and add and remove questions and answers from those topics. So I'm trying to think of what would be the best approach to do this on. Okay, so why is this? Oh, it's giving me an error because I got rid of the. What is this? Oh, because I haven't set this. So what I basically wanted to do was have a way to render the, you know, what we see on the page based on what we click on. So I think that I'm not going to use pivot. I think that I'm going to use something different, something that we can create on our own. So let's not use pivot. And I think what I'll do is I'll create just navigation cards. So let's go to the drawing board here, and instead of our components, in a new folder, and we're going to call this nav cards. And we're going to create a new file, navcards.tsx. And then we're going to import all as React. This is going to be a React functional component. And the nav cards, it's going to have an icon on the nav cards, and then we're going to have to style the nav cards. So let's import. I like to do this now. So import, and we're going to be importing is icon from Fluent UI. So at Fluent UI React icon, yep, icon, and the icon we're going to import is we're going to import icon. And then inside of our card, sorry about that, we can go ahead and start by in our return statement, we're going to import we're going to add a div. And then we're going to have another div in here, and inside of this div we'll have the icon. Now the icon name, we're not going to give with one specifically. We're going to actually have an icon name commit for it. So we're going to create a type. Actually, let me, just so that I don't get a bunch of errors and get confused, let me close the icon. And then we're going to have type nav card props. And we're going to get the icon name, which is going to be a string. And the text that we want to see below, or do we put it below or next to it? We'll see how it looks. We'll play it by ear. And then is active. That's going to be a boolean because we want to know which tab is actually active. And on click, we're going to do something, and it's not going to return anything because we want to basically navigate whenever we select those. So our React functional component is going to use our nav card props, and we're going to obviously create the object that it's bringing in. So the icon name, the text is active and on click. The div that obviously surrounds this is going to have the on click method. So on click, we're going to run and use the on click that we're bringing in. Inside of our icon, we're gonna be using our icon name that we brought in. All right, so we're gonna use our icon name there. And we're gonna have to create some styles for this nav card. Let's see what we can do as far as styles. Well, before we do the styles, let's add. So we have a div for our icon, and then we're gonna have to have a div for our text. So here we're gonna have our text that's coming in, and then the is active is gonna be more along the lines of the styles that we're gonna put here on the nav card itself. So now that we have our nav card created, we can go ahead and, am I getting errors over here? We can actually save it like this. All right, so now that we have the nav card there, let's create our style file. Again, I'm not a style guy. I'm gonna try to see, I think I have a version of this already created before. And let me know what you think. Maybe I can create something like a library of some of these custom components, because some of these custom components could be handy for other projects. I don't know if there's something that we can. I know that we can use Fluent UI, and maybe I can see how I can go about adding these kind of features to that, or see if they'll allow it. Okay. So we're gonna have nav card as one of the classes. We're gonna align items, and we're gonna do flex start on the alignment. Background color is going to use the theme. I'm sorry, should have done it. Use theme and put this in a bracket. Theme, and we're gonna use white, and that defaults to the white color for the hex value. And then border radius, I'm gonna set that to 12 pixels. Cursor is gonna be a pointer. Display, we're gonna set that to flex. And then flex direction is gonna be column. All right, so flex direction, and then height, we're gonna set that to 60 pixels. Padding, 8 pixels. Position, relative, transition, all, 0.3 seconds. Ease, flex is going to be 1, min width, let's set that to 150, and then border, it's going to be set to 2 pixels. solid transparent, which is already repopulated it for me. What am I missing? Why am I getting an issue here? Oh, because there's no semicolon? Yeah, that could be why. All right. So now this card is obviously going to have an active, because when it's obviously active, then we're going to show a different style. So the border color is going to change on the active one. So we're going to again use theme primary, and the default GitHub has it wrong. Let's do A4262C. So if it's active, it's going to have a different border color. Now let's go for the icon background. Icon background. And get rid of everything GitHub Copilot did here. Yeah. So let's start with background color. And the theme is going to be theme primary. And the default on it is that's correct, A4262C. By the way, if you're wondering where I'm getting this from, I think I covered this last time. There is a SharePoint theme options that you can use. And what this will do is whenever you change the theme on your Webpart, on your SharePoint site, it'll actually change the colors on your Webpart as well. So it's a win-win for you because you don't have to go in there and manually change things. If somebody comes in and says, you know what, I don't like that color, you just tell them you change the layout, the colors, because you can kind of see already here in the pivot, has a little bit of green at the bottom. Obviously, whenever I change the theme color, then that's going to change. So that's why it's good to use this theme. Basically, it runs off of setting this way where you put it in quotes, and then the theme primary and the default. I generally follow these by defaults. I've never tried different. Maybe you could try a different one, but this is how I generally go about doing things. All right. So we have our background color, and we're gonna do our border radius. Border radius is gonna be 10 pixels. Padding is gonna be 5 pixels. And then display, let's use inline flex. Align items, center, justified content, center as well. Now the actual icon itself is going to use font size, not equal there, font size, and let's make it 28. Color, once again, we'll use theme, and the theme is going to be white. Yep, just like we had before, so that's good. And then we're going to have our text, div, and that's going to be font. Jeez, I can't type today. Font size is going to be 14 pixels. Font weight, let's do bold. All right, so now we have our styles, and remember we have to do build on this. So while that's running the build, you can actually go to the nav cards. This shouldn't take very long to do the build. We can go back to the nav card and go ahead and import our styles. We're going to import, and we're going to import the module that SCS says, and we're going to import it as styles. And I believe we can just import it as the word itself, not braces here. All right, and then for the nav card on the actual div that has the onClick to set it active, we're going to add a class name. And here's where we find out where we add our styles based on if the nav card is active or inactive. So we're gonna use a template literal. Template literal meaning the little tag that's next to the 1 on your keyboard, because this is going to be a dynamic class, obviously. So we're going to use styles.nav card. And then we're going to check if it's active, because if it is active, then we have to obviously change it. So let's is active. If it's active, then we're going to use styles.active. Otherwise, it's just going to be blank. Like it's going to remove the class name from that div. So it makes it inactive essentially. And so now on the div that's going to hold the icon, that's going to be the background. So this is going to have a class name. Let me close the brace. We're going to use styles dot icon background. And then for the icon, we said we had styles. Do we have the icon name? Let's put the class name before the icon name. And this is going to be styles dot icon. And then for the text, well, that's a given. We're going to use class name styles dot text div. All right. So now we have our web part with those options there at the top. All right. So now that we have this, let's go ahead and create our setup. So let me get my stuff together here. All right. So to get our navigation running, we're going to have to create an admin, I'm sorry, not an admin, a tab, a navigation array, because we're going to need an icon name, and then we're going to need whatever text we want to show on it. So that as we're selecting it, it's going to render that component. Since we're not going to need all this, let's clean up this component, get rid of everything that I commented out. That way we get some more real estate back, because you know this is going to change. So we can get rid of all this, and we can even get rid of the pivots. We're not going to use the pivots anymore. Why did I get rid of them? I'm getting rid of too many things. Yep, so let's get rid of pivot in here. All right, and so in our default layout, we can get rid of these. We don't need them anymore. Get rid of that. We might bring styles back if we need something from this style in here. All right, so here inside of our default layout, let's create an array of options. Let's call it navigation array. And our navigation array is going to consist of, look at this, it's already guessing what I'm going to do. Icon name. And the first icon name is going to be layout. And then the text, actually the text was supposed to be layout. Sorry about that. And then the icon name, what can we call the icon here? Let's see if navigation array. Let's go look at icons real quick. Or layout. Nothing's going to show up for layout. Okay, so for layout, what would be a good thing to use for layout? Let's go with this page head edit. All right. And then the next one we're going to use was topics, and then we're going to have questions and answers and preview. So text is going to be topics. And then we're gonna obviously have to add an icon name. And for topics, we could do something like what we did here, product list. Let's do entitlement policy for topics. We can always change these. We're just doing what we can for now. And then the next one was questions and answers, and then we're gonna have a preview. It's not gonna be settings, it's gonna be preview. We want the user to get a preview of what the web part's gonna look like. What would be a good icon to use for preview? I don't know about grid page. We can use what can we use for preview? For preview, let's go ahead and this tablet mode just so we can, something with an eye would be good. You know, something like has an eyeball on it. That way they can be like, oh, that's, or even something like, no, that's more like a search thing. Let's see what it has as far as something with an eye on it. Or maybe something with view. Oh, look at that. You can use this one. Again, we can change these. Not a big deal. All right. And now let's go ahead and create some dummy components that these are gonna show up whenever the user navigates amongst the different pages that we created. Okay. All right. So navigation array. Let's go and create our component tree for that. So inside of components, we're gonna create let's create a new folder and call it settings, because all of our settings components are gonna be in here. Let's actually rename this because I don't like that I put that icon on it. Settings component. All right, and we're gonna have 4 components in here. The first one's gonna be the layout component. And this is going to be a React functional component. And let's wrap this with let's add a React fragment and bring this div to the top here. All right. We can save the layout component, and we're going to have, what else do we put on here? We have a layout. Let me minimize this so we can see. Layout, topics, Q&A, and preview. Topics. We're gonna create a functional component. All right, and then like once again, we're gonna add a fragment and move this div up. The next one is gonna be question answer. I'm gonna have a functional component there as well. And again, these are just temporary. We're gonna work on these to make them obviously what we need to have in them, because these have to shows. We're just gonna basically make sure that the navigation is working, then we'll work our way through creating these components and refining them. So the last one is gonna be the preview. And here's what's really good about this doing this right now. The reason this is really good to do right now is because you're about to see something that's really powerful with React, that you can build single page applications really, really well with this, because you can do something called lazy loading. I'm about to show you what that looks like. So we have our 4 components that we just worked on, which is layout, topics, question and answer, which is they're all in the settings component. So let's minimize this and let's bring, you can close all these new components we just created. We don't need them anymore. All right, so here inside of our component, outside of what the actual component itself, we're going to lazy import these components. What that means is that lazy loading, what that means is that it's not going to load these components until the user clicks on the navigation to actually show that component. So what that means is that it keeps your application light. So if the user was to open your web part, the web part's not going to load any of these unless it's in edit mode, and then you're asking it to go through each individual navigation part and then render that component. If that component is not clicked on, if that card, that navigation card is not clicked on, that component never loads. All right, so we're going to import our components at the very top of our web part. So we're going to import our layout. So up here at the top of our component, we're going to create a const for it. So const layout, and we're going to import it using React Lazy. All right, so we're going to use React Lazy. And then we're going to use import. And inside of our import, because we use, you could do this. So we could do, inside of our components, we have settings, and then we had layout. All right. But this is going to give you that yellow issue. And then it's also going to give you an ESLint error. And you can already see here that it's telling you the fix. So the fix is this. So right before it, you're going to put this, and then the component name where the 3 dots are at. The component name is going to be layout. All right. To make sure that you follow this. Oh, it might help if I spell React correctly. All right. So we have our layout. And then we're going to have our, what was next? After our layout was our topics, and then our question and answer. So topics, React Lazy. And we're going to import. Yep. We're using a parenthesis there. Okay, perfect. The next one we're going to import is question and answer. I think it was called question and answer. I'm pretty sure that's what we called it. So settings, yep, question answer. Question answer. Okay, you don't have to name it the same, but it just helps me with the writing of the import here. Okay, question answer. And then the last one was question answer. The last one was preview. I think it was preview. Yeah, and I think I called it preview as well. Yep, we called it preview. Good. So const preview, React Lazy. Good. And actually we can just put semicolons at the end of all these. I mean, when we save it, it would have done it for us, but it's important to just try to be consistent. All right, so now we have the component tree set up, and we don't load it. That's why it's not inside of our actual component. It's not inside here. It's outside of our component, because these are going to be lazy loaded into our component when they're needed. All right, so we're going to have at the top of our component we're going to have our navigation cards. So let's go ahead and set that up. So inside of our React fragment here, we're going to get rid of this. Actually, we don't even need a React fragment. Let's get rid of this. And inside of our div here, all right, inside of our div, we're going to have our nav array. Navigation array. Again, let's get, let the dialog can stay there. You're gonna need that. So our navigation array, and we're gonna map, and it's gonna be nav item, and we're gonna use the index. Why is this giving me an error? Oh, that's why. So we have our nav, and then we're gonna have our object, and then we have our actual component. It's and here, wait, I'm doing something wrong here. Yes, I am doing something wrong here. This should be here. This is gonna drive me nuts. I appreciate AI, but sometimes it just messes things up. I don't even know where this React fragment came from. Let's undo a lot of this mess. All right, so now instead of this, we're gonna add a wrapper here for our map. Then we're gonna have the end of the wrapper here for the map. And then we're gonna have our component built in here. And so we're gonna use our nav card. Yes, our nav cards, and then inside of our nav cards, we're gonna get our values. So key is going to be the index, and we're gonna use the icon name. It's gonna be nav item icon name. Remember, we built our array up here with icon name and the text, right? So then the next thing is gonna be the text, nav item dot text, and then is active. If the index is equal to, let's just put it to true for now, because we haven't set a state for that, right? And then on click, we haven't set we're just gonna have an empty, function there for now. So now let's go and set up our state to handle this. So let's create a state. Let's call it active nav card. Set active nav card into use state. And on this is going to be a number, and we're going to set it to 0 because it's always going to be the first card that's set up. Okay. So our index is going to be basically what defines what actual card is set up. So now we can go back here, and we're going to do the function that set active nav card to the index that we're currently on. And now this is going to say if the index that we're currently on is equal to the active nav card, then we're going to set that card to active, obviously. All right. So we have our nav cards, and then below that, we can have so we have our navigation. Let's save that. All right, so we have a div for our navigation. Let's get a React fragment in here because we're going to need to add our actual component to load it from lazy loading. Remember, we have to lazy load these components. In order to do that, we have to set up a render function. So let's set up our render function right here, right below our nav array. So const render component. Sorry. And this is going to be a React functional component because that's what we built inside of our actually no, it's going to be it's going to return rather, it's going to be a function that returns a JSX element. Okay. All right, so this render component is going to have a switch statement in there. And so the switch statement is going to be the active nav card number. All right, so obviously if we have we're going to have 0, 1, 2, 3 going to be our cases. All right, so if our case is 0, then we're going to return the component was layout. I believe we called it layout up here. Layout. All right. And if a case is 1, then we're going to return topics. Case 2, we're going to return question answer. What am I missing here? Here we go. And return topics, question answer. And then the last one that I think we had was preview. So case 3 will return preview. And the last thing that we have to do for default, we're going to return layout. All right, so this render component now is what we're going to render down here below. That's why we needed to have our fragment here. So inside of our fragment, we're going to have a div, and here we're going to use render component. So if we go back to our FAQ Webpart, set it to edit. So we have layout, topics, QA, and preview, and you can see how it's loading them. But here's one thing that I want to show you. I know we're gonna fix it. It looks weird. I know. We want them to be straight across. But here's the scenario that I want to show you. So if we clean this up and we refresh, let's get rid of this console. Let's go back to network. The only thing that should have loaded is the layout component. But here I'll show you. When we clean it up, we click on topic. It's only loading the topic.js. It doesn't load all of them. And then when we click on preview, you should see preview.js. Let me make this larger. So we first had, let me look and see, we can see so we had topics.js, that loaded. Then after that, we went to preview, and you can see preview.js. But the important thing is you saw how these components are not actually loading on the page. The last thing that you want to do is not have them lazy loading, because if you don't have them lazy loading, then the problem comes where all the components are loading, and obviously that's going to be have some level of impact on your web part. So you definitely don't want to do that. Now the Q&A obviously is giving us problems. There's a dot there because I'm thinking that icon name is not a valid one. So let's go look and see what we have for Q&A question answer. Oh, this should have been, yeah, Q&A is fine, but then the icon, should we use, let's try survey question, see what it looks like. I'm not, don't like the way it looks, but we'll see. So there we go, there's our Q&A, and obviously this is not correct. So these cards should show maybe display flex. There we go. Yep. So the card should show up like this. But another thing that I want you to notice is, so let's first fix that. So inside of our navigation, let's fix that. Let's give our navigation some styling. So here for our styling and the default layout, I think we did have a default layout module that is CSS. Yeah, we had label in here. Let's call this top nav bar, because that's where we're gonna have our cards, and we're gonna have a line items center. Display, I'm gonna set it to flex, like I said, like we had before. Padding bottom, so that whatever we have beneath it can be a little bit spaced out. And then our flex shrink, set that to 0. That way it doesn't shrink at all. We just keep it static. And then content area, that's actually not a bad idea. Let's change this, and I just set it flex for 1. And then inside of our nav, inside of our default layout rather, in here we would have class name. Oh, but we have to do we have import styles? No. Import styles from default layout module. And let's go back down here to our class. We'll do styles up. Why is it only picking up label? Let's say top nav bar. Okay. Sorry, I'm having technical difficulty. My battery ran out on my camera. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. Sorry about that. Um, Battery ran out on me. All right. So my trusty assistant back there, my rubber duck, helped me out there. All right. So now that we have our top nav set up, and then we can use our content section for this area. Class name. And we'll adjust the content area to be a little bit more suitable. But here's one thing that I want you to notice. You see that? Did you see that? I don't know if you can see it on stream. But when I load it, there it go again. It flashes. I don't know if you can see that. But obviously after it's been cached, it's not going to do that anymore. But the problem is that when you click on these cards, it's if the component hasn't yet rendered, it does like a little, there you go, it flashed, and it flashed again, and it flashed again. And we don't want to do that, right? Like we want our web part to be seamless, and we want to not have those kind of issues. So I'm going to show you what you would do in that scenario. You are going to use React Suspense around your content area. All right. So this div where you have your content being rendered, you're going to add React Suspense. So we're going to add React.suspense, and the fallback component is going to be our generic loader, and this is going to be wrapping our component. And what that's going to do is it's going to have a placeholder, and you're going to see it. So whenever I click on topic, it shouldn't be doing that little flashing part. Let's see. Yeah, it's definitely doing it. It doesn't do it after. I don't know if maybe it's because the content is just like a one-liner, but it shouldn't be doing that. Yeah. It shouldn't be doing that little flashing scenario. I'm thinking that maybe it's because the content area, let's see what it recommends for the content area. Again, I'm not a style guy, so no, it's still doing a little flashing scene there. And shouldn't be doing that. I'm not a big fan of that. Doing that. So definitely something that needs to be fixed. But it could be just that the layout is, I mean, it could just be the text, because it looks like it's just, yeah, if you notice the top part's not flashing, it's only the bottom. And I think it's just because it's just the text. But before, it was flashing the entire thing, including the cards. And we don't want to do that. We also want on the nav cards, it looks like it doesn't hover. Did we put anything for the nav cards on hover? I think that we need to add something to the nav cards so that on hover it does let me go back and look at the nav card. So the nav card, we have nav card. I don't know. I think we should have something. Or it could just be the fact that I have. Let's take a look and see. Right now, I mean, it's a good test, right? So let's go look at uh, our theme. So change the look, theme. Oh, that's what it is. So it's adopting the theme from another site. Um, on another, I'll change that to a isolated site because I don't want this to be part of any kind of hub site. As you notice, the hub site restricts me. But one of the things that you can automatically notice, you have green, and you can see the icons are green. Anyway, let's go ahead and work on our settings next. So obviously in the layout, we're gonna be able to tell. We're gonna ask the user if they want to see something tabbed or accordion, and we'll add other layouts if need be to this. But I'm not a. Let me see if Copilot can help me with the nav cards. Let's start a new chat. Help me with the styling on the nav cards. Show something when they are inactive. Right now there is no border. I need to have a clearer indication of the cards being there and clickable, and show some kind of depth to them. What else? What else can we do? Let's give that a shot. See what it does for us as far as styling. Okay, that looks better. We need a little bit of spacing in between them. So we definitely need some spacing. Could it be because this is open? No. But I like that. Now we can hover over them and see some kind of indication. Add some spacing between each card, please. And let's go ahead and let agent do this. It's styling. I'm not too worried about the styling. Again, AI is usually my assistant. I don't really like it to code too much. It just really helps me with the styling because you can see it makes my things look better. I am not in any way, shape, or form a styles guy. So just an FYI, this is the kind of stuff that I like for it to do for me. I wish I could say different, and I do need to learn it. But you can see that we've added some spacing there so that each nav card has some spacing in between. And you can already see a remarkable improvement when it comes to being able to see the cards now. All right, so the next thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna work on our layout component. So our layout component, we had create just a dummy component here. And let's go ahead and create something there. I need to get used to doing this. So because I think it makes us much faster as developers to be able to just open the file by just typing the name of it. So in this here, we're gonna have a card. I want to call them like create like a stackable card, if you will. Or actually, I think Fluent UI has something we can use. I think we have a document card, which looks like this. What else do we have as far as card? Hover card. Oh, that's horrible. I guess they don't really have anything. The document card we can't use because the document card is gonna look like it has that document thing, like the document icon. I mean, let's look at the code. So we have our document card. Created a few minutes ago. Where is it getting the PowerPoint image from? I don't know where it's getting. Is there a way to remove that, I wonder? Or is it part of the image? No, the image doesn't have it. You can see here. It's not part of the image. So there's gotta be something that brings in this PowerPoint document. Oh, because the title has PowerPoint on it. Let's delete the PowerPoint on it. I wonder if we add something like, it's still showing a PowerPoint. Why is it showing a PowerPoint? Fluent UI can document card have the dog type icon removed. Icon source is empty. Is that such a, yeah, there we go. So can we just delete icon source? Yeah, we can. This might actually work because one of the things that I think we could do is we can have our, we don't even need to have the activity on here. We just need to have the card look like this. I think this could work because then we can have our image preview be something that we see, or when the user clicks on it, they can actually select that kind of layout. So let's import this in here. So we're gonna import document card, Fluent UI React, document card, and we're gonna import document card preview, and document card title. What is under preview props? Okay. Yeah, so we're gonna have but does it have a navigate option? So it has an on click. So on click can do something for us. It doesn't have to necessarily have a navigation endpoint per se, I don't think. Oh, it's still taking us to Bing. I wonder if we can do something like just like this and get rid of this. I wonder what that would do. Nope, it's still going there. I wonder what, let's just try on ours to avoid so what do we have? Preview images. Yeah, so preview images is going to have an array of objects. An array, yeah, with an object with different props. So name is going to be, we're gonna have tabbed, right? Tabbed. Oops, let's put that in quotes. Tabbed. We're not gonna have images yet, but we can definitely get the width and the height, because I like the width and the height on here. And then the next one is going to be another document card. Oh, not test. Let's see what this looks like first. And it's taking us to Bing automatically. Why? Oh, this is why. All right, let's see what it does now. It doesn't do anything. Perfect. So now what we can do is we can use this. We can have an actual image of what the web part might look like for the user. We might even ultimately could get rid of preview. We'll decide when the time comes. But I like it. So we have tab layout, and then we're gonna have another document card right below this one. That's going to be, let's call this one accordion. Let's change this to say tabbed view. And this one we would change to accordion. Not view, but layout. So instead of view, we're gonna do layout. So we have tab layout and accordion layout. All right. Preview images. I think that's, if we go back to the documentation, we have the image. It needs truncating pptx. Let me see. Is that what that image is called? It's document preview PNG. Yeah, so it's document preview. So the source is gonna be that. Yeah, so we're gonna, once we have our web parts working and we can actually show the layout, we will then be able to add an image to this. And then this one, let's add some styles to it. So here, All right, and then we're gonna, while we do this, let's build it real quick. And while that's building, we can import styles, and we're gonna change this to a layout container. Let's get AI to help us styling this layout. Help me with the styles for this component. Add some spacing around each document card. Maybe use stack if possible. If not, I have added the nav cards module as CSS file to add some styles. We should have the cards fit across. How many would be good? Maybe 3. Let's make it 4 across the available space and have 4 cards fit at any given time for each row. That looks way better. So again, I'm not a style person, so this is really a lifesaver for me. I'm pretty sure it'll be a lifesaver for you. But what we're gonna do with this, obviously, like I said, once we have our web part ready to go, the user is gonna be able to come in here. And again, this is only gonna show up when the user is in edit mode, because in edit is when we're doing the configuration. When the configuration is done and the user publishes the page, then they should be able to see the final result. So if I click on edit, I am presented with the ability to modify my web part. Obviously, we're going to have our layout options, our topic options, our Q&A, question and answer based on the specific topics. And then we're going to be able to preview the web part. All right. So for the topics part, I think we already have this actually set up. Just out of curiosity to see what that would look like. So inside of our topics, instead of having topics here, let's do our topic selector. And obviously topic selector is going to want things. What do we need for topic selector? So topic selector is going to need the topics, the current topic, and it's going to need the dialog to show and hide it, and the topics array. This is going to be a little bit different. So in that side of the topics section, all right, so we're not gonna, so here in the topic, let's go ahead and work with what we need for this topic selector to work inside of topics. So obviously we're gonna need the topics. So inside here, we're gonna create the objects that are gonna be bringing in our topics. Use FAQ topics. All right, and we're gonna need topics, obviously. And so we're here when it needs topics, we're gonna pass the FAQ topics. What else does it need? Set current topic. So set current topic is going to be, we had it in default layout, but I think we got rid of it. Let's keep the changes that our AI helper created for us. I think we got rid of these this setup. So let's go ahead and re-add it. All right, so set current topic item. We had a state up here that was current topic. Set current topic item. I got an idea. It's okay. I was just thinking, what was going through my head is, wait a minute, we had a form created for the topic. And so that current topic was needed for the form. So we're still gonna do that. So FAQ topic or undefined, perfect. And so we're going to set that to undefined. And so here we can pass current topic, or set current topic rather, to be set current topic item. Toggle hide dialog is the next one that it needs. So toggle hide dialog was, actually let's go back to default layout, because we're gonna need this dialog here. We're gonna put that underneath our topic selector. Let's get rid of this commenting out because we need this dialog. So we're gonna import dialog, use Boolean and topic form. Man, this thing is so good sometimes when it's not getting in my way. It's really good to have Copilot for us. All right, so use Boolean is gonna be for the toggle hide dialog. It's gonna be set to true by default. And what else are we gonna need? Mutate FAQ topics. Okay, so mutate FAQ topics is being passed. Current topic item. Current topic item. All right, so the topic form is good to go. Now our topic selector is what we need. So toggle hide dialog. Toggle hide dialog. Topics array. What? Wait. We don't need this topics array one right now. Because we're gonna actually change this. I'll talk about it here shortly, but we don't need topics array yet. And we're gonna get rid of all this. And we're gonna get rid of this as well. We just want the pill. We're gonna save all that's false. Well, actually, we're not even gonna use these pills anymore. Because on the topics, we're just going to allow the user to select and kind of shift the topics around. We won't need the pill anymore. But I learned my lesson the last time. I'm not going to I learned my lesson the last time that I'm not going to delete components because I might need them later. The deletion and cleanup can happen at the end. Because last time I deleted something that I think I could have used for today's coding session. All right, so now we need we shouldn't need set topics array. We're not even using it anymore. This is gonna make sense because I have a new idea on how we can make this all work. All right, so this is our web part. If I go to topics, here's my 3 topics. I can add a topic. Let's say development, add topic, and you can see it right there. Perfect. So we have our layouts working. Now we have our topics. Now the topics are going to have some code that we want to put behind it so that we can basically move our topic order around. So let's go ahead and because when the user selects the topics, actually we need to build in a way to manage how the topics are going to appear, and then have an ability to show them, show the user these are the available topics that you haven't selected, and topics that you can add. So we need to create a stackable card kind of component. Basically, it's going to be like some bars. Let me show you what that, I've seen that. I think it's called stackable cards. It looks kind of like this, but I'm looking for something that's more like independent, kind of like this. What's the proper, what could we call that? Let's see what we can find as far as UI ideas. Something like this would be good, but a little bit more spacing would be nice. You see how this works right here? This would be good as part of our card, I think. So let's I was trying to see if I have a saved image of what I'm thinking about having that look like. Let's just create a card for a test. Let's start there. Let's start somewhere. And I think that once we have this, I think we'll quit for tonight. We're working on the topics. So the topics, we need to have something for the topic. So let's create a new component. I thought we had like a custom folder, didn't we? Where did we put the pill? Let's rename this to custom. Yeah, let's rename that to custom components. And inside our custom components, we're going to create a new file. The new file is going to be called, oh, what did it call it here? We can close this. No, we can close that. Let's search. This is exactly what I'm thinking about. We're going to have the topic and then have some arrows to allow the user to shift the order up and down. That would be a good idea to do. So something like this would be good. I don't know what we could call this, but I'm just gonna call it stackable. What can I call that? I think I'm just gonna go with my original idea, a stackable card or a stackable bar. Let's call it stackable bar because it kind of looks like a bar. So let's go to new file. All right, and so our stackable bar is going to have let me bring this over so we can have more real estate and close our topic selector. So import all as React, and this is going to be a React functional component. And remember I talked about not memorizing code? This is why. You're gonna be typing this stuff so much that it's just gonna come as second nature to you when you're building stuff. Trust me when I tell you, it's gonna be you're gonna have so much repetitiveness that you are going to it's just gonna come as second nature. Okay, so now we have a stackable card, and inside of our stackable card, I think we need to have the name of the topic. So we're gonna have the card, we're gonna have a name, and then we're gonna have an area for we're gonna have a name, and then we're gonna have we're gonna have the whole card. Inside the card we're gonna have a name, and then we're gonna have the controls that are gonna allow us to have move the topic up, move it down, get rid of it, or edit it. Yeah, that's the way we'll handle it. All right, so inside of our stackable card, let's start with creating a div, and inside this div we're gonna have another div that's gonna be the name section. So let's just add a span, and this is gonna be the name section. And then next to the name section, we're going to have the controls. So the move up control, then we're gonna have the move down control, and then we're gonna have the edit control, edit button, and then we're gonna have the delete button. Okay, so that's basically how it's gonna work, and they're gonna be all aligned. All right, so inside of our stackable card, we're gonna bring in the name. So we're gonna have, or not card, stackable bar. So type stackable bar props. We're gonna have the name, which is gonna be a string, and inside here we're gonna have the name. But actually, let's make sure that this is utilizing our props, stackable props. And in here, we're gonna have our name. And so our name is gonna be like, gonna have to show up here. And inside of our topics, selector, in our topic selector, rather than having the span here, we're gonna use stackable bar. Name is going to be topic.title. All right, so we go back to our web part, go to topics. See, it's gonna have general. And so obviously we're gonna make this, you know, look nicer. And so then we're gonna have the name, and let's have some icon buttons, because we're gonna want to have a move up, move down, edit, and delete button. They're not gonna do anything right now. That's something that we're gonna obviously create or add to it. So the move up is going to be the action button. So let's put topic selector here to the side. And so we're gonna import action button, so we can just copy it from here. So the action button, we're gonna add an action button here. Edit, delete, and we can get rid of this. Now, I don't know that this is gonna work, because do we have a move up, move down, edit, and delete? Let's go and see. So far, move up, there is no move up. So we have caret up, caret down. I want to use something like, this is better, chevron. So let's use chevron. So we have chevron up, and then we have chevron down, and then we have to have edit and delete. Edit can be this. Oh, and I think delete already has the, good look. Yeah, delete would be the trash can. Let's see what that looks like. Again, these buttons aren't gonna do anything. We just wanna, look at that. All right. And then obviously we would have our add a topic button. But so far, I mean, look at that. Now, we can get AI to help us style this, right? Again, I'm, you know, I'm probably gonna bore you guys saying this, but I am not a UI UX guy, so I definitely need to get better at that. Stackable bar .module.scss, and then here we're gonna add styles to the stackable bar. Component. Basically, I want the bars to span across with the icons to the right, to the far right, and the topic on the left. I'm thinking using space between. Yeah, we can do it that way. And then, you know, with that, this is gonna help us yeah, this is going to help us be able to make it something that's clickable. So I want to make sure we get this right. So we have the name to the left, and then we have all of our action buttons to the right. Let's see what this does for the stackable bar. So now that it's, while it's setting that, I'm gonna build. No, it's actually gulp. Okay. We don't need to do that. All right. Let's take a look at our Webpart. That's awesome. So now you see we have our buttons, and we're gonna be able to edit and delete. I'm not a big fan of how wide this looks, so let's see what we can do. For the container, maybe we can remove the width. Hmm. Um, I don't I don't think we need to add a container. Let's keep what it did, but let's fix some things. Let's get rid of it. Let's fix some things. So we can close our topic selector, and then stackable bar. We don't need a container. Let's get rid of that. Let's see what this does. Really didn't fix it. So there's something inside of our topics. Oh wait, I didn't even save it. No, we really don't need a container. Where was stackable? It was under layout, right? No, it was under topics. And we have topic selector, so it was under topic selector. The topic selector is gonna have our topics, and it's stack. We use stack, but let's go look. If we inspect elements, okay, so bar, I think it's gonna be bar that's causing the issue. Let's go to our stackable bar. Let's get rid of this width. See what that does. Go to topics. Look at that. So that looks good. But I think we got rid of container. Let's bring container back. Topics. Okay, that looks better. You can already see the web part coming together. All right, so we have our add a topic. If we add a topic here, let's say PNP, add topic, it shows up. Awesome. All right, so looks like we're in business. We worked on topics, we work on our layouts. This is basically the configuration part of our web part. And you can already see the benefit of having the ability to do this using React Lazy, because it's only going to load the components whenever they're needed. And that basically, like, you notice also that I think the refresh issue is gone. So we have layout, and then I click on topics, and it basically just collapses and then it expands. But I'm going to show you a cool trick that we can do. Once we get to the beautification part at the very end, we'll use something called shimmer. And what shimmer will do is it'll show, I don't know if you have, like, you go on Facebook, or you go on, our Instagram, or any, really developed uh, UI, you'll see something like a little loading grayish element. We're gonna add that so that way we don't have a collapsing of our component. It'll give us enough spacing so that way that's gonna take its place while it loads our topics. But anyway, we're gonna be able to add the edit functionality next, and the delete on the next time that we meet. Yes, because right now, well, maybe we could just go ahead and really quickly add our edit functionality, because we technically already have that built, right? So on the edit icon, we're going to need to use the set current topic item. So we're going to use this inside of our stackable bar. And so this one is going to be on click. Actually, I'm thinking if we should have just a callback going to the parent, or if we should handle it here. I think we can have an on edit and on delete, right? And then here we can do on click. It's going to be on edit, on edit, and then on delete. And we're not going to make them optional. We're going to make them required. So this is going to be on edit, and this is going to run on delete. And actually, we're going to need the ID as well. It's going to require the ID. Wait. Let's try without. We'll come back to this. We might not need this. So on click, on delete. Yeah. So now in our topic selector, we're obviously going to need to have handle delete. And then we're going to have handle edit. And those are just doing something. It's not necessarily returning anything yet that I can think of yet. All right, so on edit is going to use handle edit, and on delete is going to do handle delete. I'm going to go back to this. Obviously, this isn't going to work because this is expecting an ID, and the ones that we have on the target component doesn't have those. So we need to work on adding and deleting topics. So we have our topics being brought in here, So we can use delete topics, use topics, use delete. Or what was it called? We had hooks for this. Use delete items. Yep, use delete items, but we're using the topics. And we're also using use edit items, and we're using topics. And from this, we're gonna bring in the mutation and the options. And then we're gonna have the edit mutation and the edit options from the both of these hooks. And so for the delete mutation, it's gonna need the ID of the item that it's deleting. Oh, perfect. So we only need the ID. So we're gonna here we're gonna delete. So topics is it has our mutate topics. So let's bring this in here. So in here, we're going to bring in key mutator from SWR. All right. So now we have our mutated FAQ topics. So I'm going to do mutate FAQ topics. And inside here, we're going to use our delete. And we need to pass the ID and the FAQ topics. And just say topics. And then, oh, wait, we're missing something. Mutate FAQ topics. Yeah. And then delete options, ID, and topics. What do we have? Oh, it's no, you have to await. Yeah, await. And this is going to be an async call. And this is going to return a promise. It's not gonna really, well, it should. Once deleted. No, let's not do it that way. Let's do this. So it's not gonna return a promise. And so here we're gonna bring in the mutation. Yeah. And we're gonna wrap this in a try catch, like my channel name. And if there's an error, we're gonna use our Webpart store. Const use Webpart store, and then we're gonna use that error and toggle error message. Set. Yep, toggle error message. And now in here, we're gonna await this. All right. Let's actually just go ahead and make it return a Boolean, since that's what our deletion does. Return true. Nah, let's not do that. Sorry. Let's just leave it as void. And now for the edit, we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna wrap it in a try catch, and if it fails, we're gonna set the error and then toggle the error message. And then the only thing here is we're gonna do the mutation. So await mutate FAQ topics. We're gonna do the mutation with the ID and the topics. And it's not gonna take ID. It's gonna need the actual object here. So FAQ topic. Yeah. So then that's the way we're gonna edit it. And this is gonna be an await, an async rather, or async function. And it's gonna return a promise. And why am I getting an issue here? Oh, because we don't have a parenthesis here. There we go. All right. So we're gonna need a topic for there. Let's just make it receive the topic on the stackable bar. FAQ topic. All right, so now on edit, we're gonna we're just gonna be FAQ topic, and here we're just gonna enter an ID. It's gonna be number. All right, topic, and on delete, we're gonna do topic ID. Oh, the reason it's giving us that is because we have to put this way. All right, so now we have on our edit and our on delete. Am I missing ID? Yeah, I am. We don't need ID though. We never use it. And then on topics, what is it missing? Topic selector was requiring to mutate topics. Is that what it's missing? Yep, that's what it's missing. All right, we should be in business now. So we go to topics. You can click on edit. Oh, edit is not doing something. It's not toggling the dialogue. So we need to have that also in there. So toggle hide dialogue is going to be this. And whenever we edit, wait. When we click the edit button, on the stackable bar, so the delete should work. It's the edit one that we need to worry about, because the edit one, they just go back and delete PNP. That works. What we need to work on is on the edit. So when they click on the button, the icon, it needs to open the edit form. Yeah, so we didn't really even need, we didn't really even need the topic itself, we just need the set current topic. Yeah, that was my mistake. You just need the setter for current topic. And then the toggler for the edit. That was my mistake. I shouldn't have done it that way. So on edit, we just need the toggler to work. Yeah. Wait, no, we do need that. We don't need this. We need to be able to set and open set the current item. Yeah, set current topic item. And it's gonna be no, so we did need FAQ topic. So yeah, we did an FAQ topic. And we need to pass to it the topic. What we don't need to do is we don't need to do this part. And we don't need a try catch in this scenario. What we need to do is set current topic item to the topic and then toggle the dialogue. That's all we really needed to do there. And we don't need this in here anymore. We don't need this. So now we go back to topics and we click on edit. There it is, general, SharePoint framework, React. Let's do test. Look at that. Perfect. This is fantastic. Yeah, awesome. So we got our edit and delete functionality. Tomorrow, when we meet again, we'll work on, we went actually a little bit over 2 hours today. Usually my target is 2 hours. But you can already see it coming in and looking nice already. So I hope that you find this beneficial. As we go through the process, we're gonna be adding more and more functionality to this, and you're kind of already getting to see a little bit of a preview on development and how using these tools that I laid out at the beginning really help when it comes to building these SharePoint framework web parts. That being said, thank you for coding with me tonight, and I'll catch you guys again tomorrow. Bye-bye.